This is going to get really technical for a second, but hang on. Go to so this is your drawing in your blueprints, right? Here's your grass that comes in. Here's your dirt that's there. Here's your footing. And then your slab has, this is a piece of rebar right here that goes, it sticks up out of your footing. And then when they go to pour the slab, they bend it over like this so that it goes and ties together your footing and your slab. So your slab starts right here, you know, where the top of that footing is, and that's where the slab is held together. And then you can kind of see these little arrows pointing, but the finished flooring is literally attached to your slab. Can you see that? I don't have a pointer, but do you see where it says finished flooring right here? And the arrow
Yes.
points down and it is literally glued or adhered down on top of your slab. Okay. The slab begins where this break line is. First, they go in and they pour the footings in the ground. Then the footings set up and cure. And they've got these pieces of rebar sticking out of the ground. You know what rebar is? Like basically just like a rod, you know, like a
Yeah.
metal rod. And then once they pour that, they bend the rod over, like you see here, where it's bent to 90 degrees. And it is, then they go pour the slab and they have, it says gravel fill. It's either gravel or sand, depending on where you are. They're going to have that gravel or sand is going to be on top of what was the initial ground that was there. And then they're going to pour the slab on top of that. But you notice where the footings are, the gravel kind of goes down a little bit so that it's not on top of that footing. So now that footing gets poured, and there is what's called a cold seam in that concrete, and now the two are tied together. Your little trim board is right here. This is showing, this is like the inside of the house here. So you got your half wall of drywall, and your little wood baseboard is against that. In the bottom of your framing, what's called your bottom plate is right here. And this shows the insulation inside of the wall. And then on the outside of that stud wall, there's OSB, which is plywood attached to the outside of that. And then there's house wrap on top of that. And then your siding material gets attached on top of that. So this is kind of a cross section of what that slab house looks like. And then here is, so if I go back, this was called section exterior wall. This is section foundation wall. I don't think they do. Yeah, so we'll look at this one right here. You zoom in on this for you. Whoa, too much zooming.
And this is all in our drive.
Um, I don't actually think you have access to these blueprints, but I'm showing them to you just so you can kind of see them here. So let's go do this. Let me go. Do this. So now I've got them in split view for you, so you can kind of see both next to each other. Excuse me. Oh, for the love of Pete, move this thing out of the way. There we go. All right. So this is the slab on the right-hand side of the screen. On the left-hand side of the screen is a crawl space. And so notice this doesn't go all the way down like a basement would. So it's a little bit different from that standpoint. But you've got poured down in the bottom of, or sorry, down in the bottom of this is going to be sand. So it's not going to be it's not going to be concrete down there. And this is just a hollow space that's underneath your first floor of the house. Your feet would be standing right on top of this if you're inside of the house. You would be standing on whatever the flooring material is there. Okay, this is plywood subfloor right here. Then what's called a joist, which is made out of a 2x12 or a 2x10, depending. And then it sits on top of what's called a beam, just like a girder beam underneath, and those can be made of different things. Probably on yours, it's made out of um, 2x material. It could be, if it's a really long span, it could be made out of steel. And then there's these little pedestals sticking up that are concrete every so many feet. And they're all over the place inside of your foundation. And then if I come over here, you can see the footing here, and there's another footing over here under this other pedestal. This is the outside wall of the home. So your ground that's outside is here, your grass is right here. And where this footing is, it's got rebar, but in this one, it turns and sticks straight up because you have a little bit taller wall. Depending on where you are, they're usually about 4 foot tall. So you got like a 4 foot tall crawl space there. And then, with that crawl anchors with, you've got an anchor bolt that goes into let me zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. The anchor bolt goes into the concrete right here, and then it has a screw on top of it. And basically what's called your mud sill, which is a 2x6, is sitting on top of that wall, and that is screwed down to be anchored to that. And then all of your framing for the first floor of your home is going to be all tied into that, basically what's called a mud sill right here, which is just a 2x6 that runs along the top side of that wall. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And
It
so
does.
instead of the flooring of the house, your LVP sitting right on top of your concrete slab, in your crawl space, it's sitting on top of 2x10s or 2x12s, which are called floor joists. And then you've got plywood sitting on top of all those floor joists, and then your flooring sits on top of your plywood. Does that make sense?
Yes. So other than that, though, there's no any type of like padding or anything that absorbs any type of movement, pressure.
There's really no need for it because every couple of feet you have, hang on, let me get you an image of this. Give me a second. So there's a bunch of framing members that are your joists. So this is showing from a cross section. Actually, this might, give me 1 second. Um, oops, my other image went away. Oh, I think I just deleted that. Hang on 1 second. Let me go back to my crawl.
Natalia, are you wearing red today?
I am. Yeah. This is probably my first red in years. It's just not a color I usually wear.
It looks good on you.
Thanks. Looks good on you too.
Hey, what about my blue?
Oh,
You look like you're feeling blue today.
I'm
And-
wearing red. Jordan's
All right,
wearing red.
Jordan, show us your red.
Jordan's not on screen though.
Brady, are you wearing red? All the
Nope,
cool
I got a
people
cool
are.
pocket knife.
oh my gosh, Brady. Are you going
That
to
is-
a
Such a
showing?
guy.
Huh?
Going to a showing?
I am putting out directionals.
Okay, here you go. So this is kind of like showing it as a cross section between finished and unfinished. Okay, so your crawl space is underneath. These are 2x10s or 2x12s. Okay, and those are your floor joists. Okay, And this one, okay, this is not actually how it would be because AI screwed this up a little bit. I did this in Gemini, but this would be, this part right here is correct. It's just, this is showing it steps up, which is weird. But anyway, these cross members are there, and every 16 inches on center, you have one of these cross members. And then you have plywood sitting on top of that, which you can kind of see the plywood over here. And then you have the finished floor kind of sits on top of that plywood. Does that help you visualize
Oh
that?
yeah, this is perfect. Yes, thank you. I
Yeah.
figured it's that, but I was just curious if I could just kind of felt like there's more to it. I don't know why.